Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, deep in the massive desert of southern Israel, the Ramon Air Base was operating completely normally. Because of the intense heat, waves of hot air shimmered above the runway. Rows of fighter jets stood fully prepared in the distance. Inside the base, some pilots were resting, while others were discussing upcoming flights. From the outside, it looked like the day would remain peaceful like any other. But suddenly, the entire airbase shook with the sound of a piercing siren. In a single second, the atmosphere completely changed. It was an emergency alarm that meant fighter jets had to take off immediately. Without wasting any time, the pilots rushed out of their rooms. They knew alarms like this usually sounded only when an unknown threat was detected near the country's airspace. But there was one major problem. The distance from the rest house to the main runway and the fighter jet area was nearly 1 kilometer. So several military vehicles were quickly sent there. The pilots ran and climbed into the vehicles. Tension was clearly visible on their faces because no one knew exactly what was happening in the sky. Nobody spoke. The only thing increasing was the tension along with the speed of the vehicles. But the real story had actually started almost 30 minutes earlier. On that day, an F-4 Phantom fighter jet had taken off from an old Iranian military base. Many people mistakenly refer to this aircraft as a Tomcat. But in reality, the F-4 Phantom and the F-14 Tomcat are completely different fighter jets. Even though the F-4 Phantom is very old, Iran still uses it in limited numbers. The aircraft is extremely fast and capable of staying in the air for long periods. Although it is technologically outdated compared to modern fighter jets, in the hands of an experienced pilot, it can still become dangerous. That day's flight was part of a routine military exercise. The pilot was highly experienced. At the beginning, everything was normal. The aircraft followed its assigned route through Iranian airspace. Inside the control room, everything also appeared normal. The aircraft's position was updating regularly on the radar screen. At that moment, there was no sign of suspicion. But after some time, something strange happened. The pilot slowly began changing the aircraft's route. At first, Iran's radar control room did not pay much attention. During military exercises, minor route changes sometimes happen. But a few minutes later, the operators realized the aircraft was no longer following its assigned path. It was slowly moving toward the northwest. A warning message was immediately sent from the control room. The pilot was told that he was leaving the designated airspace and heading in the wrong direction. In a calm voice, the pilot replied that he was correcting the issue and just needed some time. But in reality, he was not turning back. Instead, he kept moving deeper toward the border. The old fighter jet was flying at a very low altitude. When aircraft fly low, radar systems often struggle to detect them properly. Mountains, terrain, and even the curvature of the Earth can interfere with radar signals. The mysterious pilot was taking advantage of that weakness. Slowly, the aircraft approached Israel's northern border. Meanwhile, inside Israel's radar control room, an unusual signal appeared. At first, the radar operators could not fully understand what they were seeing. Enemy aircraft are rarely detected in that region. Some believed it was simply a radar malfunction or a technical error. But within minutes, the situation completely changed. The radar showed the unidentified aircraft moving inward at extremely high speed. That was the moment the emergency alarm was activated. Pilots stationed at Ramon Air Base were ordered to launch immediately. The entire base shifted into a wartime situation. Ground crews rushed to prepare the fighter jets. Military vehicles moved rapidly around the runway. A few minutes later, the situation became even more dangerous. The mysterious aircraft suddenly launched a guided missile. Smoke could be seen rising from the direction of a military facility in the distance. Panic spread across the area within moments. Although later reports offered different opinions about the true details of the attack, at that moment the Israeli Defense Forces treated it as a direct national security threat. Fighter jets began taking off one after another from different Israeli runways. Some were sent directly toward the northern border. At the same time, several heavily armed aircraft were placed on standby. The sky filled with the deafening roar of jet engines. The entire situation felt like the beginning of a full-scale war. But by then, it was already too late. The mysterious pilot had already turned back toward international airspace. His plan was to leave the conflict zone as quickly as possible. He knew that once he reached international airspace, directly attacking him would become politically complicated. At that exact moment, one of Israel's air defense units became active. It is believed that a Patriot missile defense system was deployed there. Within seconds, a missile shot into the sky and began chasing the unidentified fighter jet. The pilot realized a missile was tracking him from behind, but he did not panic. Moments later, the aircraft reached the edge of international airspace. Then suddenly, the pursuing missile lost its tracking lock. After the incident, discussions spread across the entire Middle East. International media outlets began publishing different analyses about the event. Some described it as a bold military operation, while others believed it was a dangerous misunderstanding. But even today, one major question still remains unanswered. Did the mysterious pilot intentionally enter Israeli airspace, or was the entire incident simply a dangerous military situation that spiraled out of control?